The judge has granted a change of venue in the trial of Brian Kohberger, the man charged with killing 4 University of Idaho students back in 2022. Kohberger's defense team raised concerns of a biased jury based on evidence in a survey that the team commissioned. In his ruling, the judge cited, quote, the extreme nature of the news coverage in this case and the smaller population of the county. The judge said evidence showed a reasonable likelihood that news coverage would compromise Kohberger's ability to get a fair trial.